I have always known what I want, and I've never hesitated to go after it. Like from, I don't even know, age of 3, 4, I remember very distinctly making conscious choice that I was going to do what I wanted to do. And it was really easy for me to know what I wanted. I've never really felt like, what do I want? That's never been really, I'm like, this is what I want, and I'm going to go do that. And there's a cool thing about that. That's like, okay, like I've had a full life of experience. Like, again, I feel so satisfied in this moment. I've had so many experiences that I'm like, you know what I want to experience now is like cooking soup and going to bed at 10 p.m. And like, I want to experience like some normalcy,
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 450. We made it.
We made it to 450. Or are you just saying we made it through another week?
No, we made it to 450. That's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy. It's also a big accomplishment to make it another week these days. So
that's true.
Congratulations to everyone listening. You also made it another week.
Anyway, we're Finn and Emma, and today we have a wonderful and super fun conversation with Kalah as she takes us on quite the ride. As you heard in the snippet at the beginning of the show, she has lived a life full of incredible experiences, partners, and adventures, as well as a life full of love, intimacy, and pleasure. And she shares it all with us today.
And to be clear, she actually just turned 40 last year, so all of the incredible stuff that you're about to hear was, we'll say, pre-40.
Right?
Slash...
Since pre-41.
Well, and on the 40th birthday, which you will hear about, which is one of the most incredible birthday stories I've heard in a while. So you'll see. Stick around and listen. Anyways, as Emma said, this is a wonderful conversation, and while there are definitely lots of wild and fantastical adventures, Kalah's whole story is really all about love. Sure, it's about loving others, but even more so, it's about figuring out what we want in life, following our own pleasure, being open to what life has to offer, and loving ourselves unconditionally.
Kalah has also brought this ethic of love and pleasure into her professional work as well, as she talks about. Her business is called In Love We Trust, and she calls herself a matriarchal courtesan. She talks more about what this means throughout our conversation, but you can also learn more about her work and working with Kalah on her website, inlovewetrust.vip, which is linked in the podcast show notes. And, just in case you were wondering, Kalah also sticks around to answer some fun bonus questions for our premium subscribers. If you're not familiar, our premium subscribers get ad-free podcast episodes, plus a new 10 to 15-minute bonus episode every week where our guests answer some fun extra questions and give us an opportunity to get to know them even deeper than we do during our regular interview. You can sign up on the homepage of our website at normalizingnonmonogamy.com for just $4 a month.
And I'm guessing not many people will make it through this conversation thinking that Kalah has shared all of her wild and crazy stories. But just in case one of you was thinking that, the answer is no, she didn't. In fact, the coronation story she tells in the bonus episode is one of the most impressive feats I think we've heard on the podcast.
It's pretty great.
You definitely do not want to skip it. And with that, I think we've sold you hard enough on the bonus episodes. But truly, this is not one to skip. And with that, it is time to jump right into the interview with Kalah for all of our premium subscribers. And for everyone else, just a few announcements.
First up, we wanted to remind all of you about our community. We lead a community full of over 300 people socializing and supporting one another every single day. We host the community on a platform called Mighty Networks and have monthly community support Zoom calls, monthly virtual workshops, and in-person events as well, all for less than $10 a month. Our next monthly workshop is coming up July 22nd. Mark your calendars. It is called Embracing Conflict with Becky Calloway and Melanie Rowan. You're going to want to come check it out. And also, one of the perks of being a community member is if you happen to miss the workshop, you get recordings of all of the workshops that we've done to date as well.
Yeah, so just to reiterate that, we've done almost 20 workshops at this point, and you get access to recordings of all of them. You can learn more about all of the workshops we've had in our community over under the workshops tab of our podcast. You can also see the upcoming workshops we've got later this year as well. I'll say one other perk we've got for our community is that you also get access to the premium subscription. So you get a whole lot when you join our community.
Which means you can go listen to the bonus content.
Which means you can hear that coronation story that I keep raving about. So yeah, to join our community, head over to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on the community tab. You can learn more and apply there. Really, there's no reason not to. We'll see you in there.
And next up, a reminder about our favorite way to get tested for STIs. It is stdcheck.com. This is a service Finn and I use. We've been using it for years. We tell you about it every episode.
We wouldn't tell you about it if we didn't love it, would we?
It is, I don't know. We definitely wouldn't.
We wouldn't. Just like we didn't tell you about the premium subscription where that coronation story is, because we love that as well.
STD Check is fast, easy, discreet, and when you use the links on the resources tab of our website, you get $10 off, making a 10-panel test only $129, and you support the podcast. So thank you in advance for using those links, and thank you to anyone who has used those links as well.
Yeah, thank you from my side. You make a world of difference in our lives, and you help us bring you this podcast every single week for free. So thank you from my side. And the last thing we want to tell you all is that we would absolutely love to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, or best of all, if you would like to come on the show yourself to tell your own story, we would absolutely love to have you. This podcast doesn't exist without people like you, people like Kalah, and people like the other 450 plus guests we've had on the show. So to do that, you can head over to our website, click on the Contact Us tab. From there, I think you've got it figured out. It's pretty self-explanatory. We would love to hear from you. Reach out.
And with that, it's time to go talk with Kalah. Welcome to the podcast, Kalah. We're excited that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. We know very little about you, so we're excited to dive in and learn a whole bunch more. We'd love for you to start by introducing yourself.
Hi, so wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, let's see what we can do in 60 minutes.
I know.
Give or take, we're not on a hard clock.
Yeah, my name is Kalah Hill, and I call myself a matriarchal courtesan, and my business and life and work and passion it's called In Love We Trust. And so I would say that I am a student, a teacher, an advocate, an ally to love. And so that's really the foundation of how I move through the world, whether that's professionally or personally, it really doesn't matter. It's all about love for me. So that's where I stand today and most days.
Yeah, I love that. I love how, I don't know, I love when people are able to find a way to mirror their personal life and values into their work life and value. Like when the two can sort of blur together. I know that creates all sorts of problems for us personally when our work and our pleasure blend, but I think it's amazing when we can get those values so aligned that it gets blurry. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, it's an integrated way of being where everything is quite interdependent and connected. And I like weaving that sort of web through my life because I feel like it's inherently integrous and honest, and it allows for healing and loads of prosperity. But it also requires a lot of boundary work. So
Well, and I don't know if you're like us, but that wasn't taught a whole lot when we were growing up. So I'm sure there's been a lot of learning along the way.
yes, so much learning, and it's very emergent and experiential. So it requires a lot of courage as well, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to kind of dig in and learn how you got here and how you made it happen. And so maybe we just start with personally, what are your relationship ecosystem, the sort of the sphere of relating you have around you? What does that look like today at beginning of May or middle of May 2026?
Yeah. The ecosystem, I would say, is one of chosen family and kin, and there's lovers dispersed about that I've actually been really refining my constellation for some time over the last year, really. Um, I turned 40 last year, which I think was a real marker of maturation, let's call it.
Mhm.
And I'm now really stabilizing and securing much more of like a base and a foundation and a building of home. Whereas I think my 30s were really this exploration, adventurous, playful, pleasurable space. And now it's like, okay, well, how do I take, 16 lovers and refine it? Refine it in a way that feels really comforting and whole and equitable and kind and relieving to me because I think I've been holding a lot over the years that I don't need to hold anymore, even though I have high capacity to be in many, many, many relationships. And I think people would define me as solo poly, which is fun and cute, and I'm cool with that. I did a lot of unicorning, which is another term that's super fun. I dated lots of couples over the years, but now, yeah, I'm really narrowing it down and I'm actually consciously celibate right now because I'm dating for very different purposes and pleasure pursuits that involve more homing, building of home with someone and maybe some more people, but I'm really focused right now on building long-term partnerships. And I have a long-term partner in my life that I've been with for 7 years. She's incredible, and I met her and her partner 7 years ago, and I was with them as like I'd say like a unicorn kind of role for many years, and then her and I kind of now have this offshoot. I'm no longer with him, but her and I have deeply kind of integrated our hearts and our love, and we're deeply connected. Although she is still in this dynamic with him, they have kids, they have a whole family situation going on. So I'm actually really in this moment of looking for a partnership that can be something like that for me.
Mhm.
And it's exciting, but it's a completely different orientation.
Yeah, from what you've been doing.
Yes, exactly. So I'm kind of in this very new place, and very recently. It happened literally 2 months ago. So
Oh, wow. Wow, that's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm really curious, and I want to go back and we'll go back in time here in a minute and kind of work through how we got here. But one thing I was curious about was around the intentional celibacy, and this is actually something that's come up a few times recently on the podcast where people have
Mhm.
sort of stepped into this, and I'm just sort of curious, like your inspiration for that and how that sort of ties in and supports what you're looking for in terms of the shift in maybe looking for some like it sounded like maybe more home building, I guess, for lack of a better term, with a partner. And I'm curious how you came to that sort of decision and how that supports the path you're on today.
Yeah. Celibacy was a word I never thought would cross my my reality at all.
Yeah.
Um, I've always really defined myself as this like sacred slut, like incredibly I'm very sexual. I love being sexual. Um, I have no qualms about it whatsoever. I used to host psychedelic play parties for 2 years that were really super fun and special and thrilling and all the things. And it's really interesting now to be in this space. Again, very surprising and unexpected to me. This was not the plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna fuck forever.
Sometimes life throws us those curveballs.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for good reason because, I really I knew the intentionality of home was coming through before I knew the celibacy came through. So I think this is really in support of that. And I think it's helping me really kind of, again, refine and focus my intention of home in a way that grounds certain aspects of compatibility instead of chemistry. So I love chemistry. I'm actually a trained biologist. So I have a lot of training in like the sciences. And so I understand kind of how to work with chemistry, how to work with eros and erotic and pleasure. And my business was actually called In Pleasure We Trust up until about 6 months ago. I just transitioned to In Love We Trust. And so again, just really following this maturation process of like deep permission for play, exploration, sexual adventure in my 30s, like hosting parties, having like, yeah, at one point I had 16 lovers. Not a joke, not a lie. Really putting myself out there and just in full erotic expression. And it's been a joy, no regrets. And having come now to this like anchored part, I just signed a 13-month lease in Mexico City, which is the first time I have actually signed a lease in 3 years. I've been nomadic for 3 years, and I've been on this magic carpet ride around the world, just one big global orgy, as my friend calls it. And I feel really satisfied. Like I feel super satiated. I feel really full. I feel super complete. I feel whole in like the aspect of my sovereignty when it comes to my sexual expression. And so now where I'm really like focused is like, what would it feel like to be in that heart space satisfaction of deep, deep devotional love and the practice of that love while keeping containers open, like I'm really not, I would not say that I'm seeking monogamy. I would say that I'm seeking this like deeper kind of nourishment that is not super sexual, to be honest. Yeah, it feels very different in its texture. And again, very new place for me, so I don't know exactly where I'm at, but
Yeah.
it feels good. It feels right.
Yeah. You're at this
Yeah.
beginning phase of trying something different.
Yeah, and it's working fantastically. I actually started seeing this woman a couple weeks ago. We just had our second date last night, actually. And it was super sweet. And I'm really learning a different way because by now we would have been like immersed in making love all day and eating fruit and chocolate. But Kayla's keeping her pants on, and it's revealing some things that are really sweet and tender and feel much more connected to family, home. What would it be like if I've always wanted a child, what would it be like to really build something like that for myself?
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And I'm really curious to go back in time a little bit. I know you kind of alluded to some of it, but I'm curious kind of where, I don't know, where did relationships kind of start for you and how did that evolve over time?
Yeah. So I've always been, like I said, like I'm a very erotic, very sexual human being. And this is like from the age of 4, I was like humping shit. Like I just like, it's like, a lot of energy down there. And so I grew up in a pretty sex positive home. My mom's like a hippie massage therapist from Vermont, like single mom, pretty much a nudist. So she was always like very like body positive, sex positive. So I was given this like real amazing gift, for most all of my life of just this like true permission to express myself sexually. And that's awesome. And I think it really generated this really robust foundation for me. Like by the time I started having sex with other people, I was 18. I started to really understand the level of, I guess, the level of embodiment that I had sexually compared to other people at the age of 18. And I'm like, y'all, what have y'all been doing? Because seems like you haven't been doing much. I've been masturbating for, a good minute. And I know exactly what I want and what I love and what I like and who I am. And I don't think any of you have even begun. So it was a really interesting kind of like shock where I got to kind of, like pursue, but also just continue my own journey because I really did feel very unmet for many years sexually through my 20s. And then really in my 30s, like I had a slew of like monogamous, pretty hetero relationships. Had my first girlfriend at 27. Then I was like, oh, okay, we're getting somewhere here with this. This is nice, different. And then really in my 30s, made the choice to pursue pleasure in a way that was like non-negotiable. And in that intentionality, my business was born. My first business was called Pussy Consciousness, which was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I was like teaching women about, the feminist movement, anatomy, orgasm, tantra, things like this. It was sweet. I moved to Costa Rica. I started to really engage in much more of like a sensual, playful lifestyle, dancing on the beach at sunset, surfing, living in the jungle, like doing plant medicine journeys, like really taking my healing path quite seriously. And through that, really, really discovering my capacity for eros and sexual expression. And that's when I think I was like 31 when I had my first like open relationship and my first kinky relationship, which was really fun. I was like, yeah, I love these kinksters. I'm like a total shapeshifter. So I enjoy like a huge swath of sexual expression. And I have such a large appetite and yeah, started to participate in group sex, go to sex parties, really see that I was like at home in these like more sexually expansive spaces than I had ever felt before. And so it was really like there was confirmation happening all the time. And I was just receiving so much resonant contact and connection through that I just ran with it. I started hosting my own spaces. I met a lot of people. I dated a lot of couples because I love threesomes. And yeah, I ran with it. I had a blast, dude. Like sometimes I look back and I'm like, how did I do all that? Like, yeah, with no hesitation, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just really interesting to hear growing up. So, like, we both grew up in the Midwest. I would say fairly steeped in quite a bit of shame. Sexuality was not a thing that was really talked about in either of our homes. And so it's really interesting to hear the sort of the contrast of like you growing up in a bit more of a sex positive space, really being encouraged to explore that. And also that it sounds like, by the time you were 18, you almost had like a 10-year head start on a lot of the people that you were,
Yeah.
meeting or falling, finding yourself in bed with. And I just find it's really interesting to hear you talk about that because I think there's like, to me, when I think about that, there's like two things that happen in that moment. One is, right, there's the like, well, you're trying to like understand what other people want. And I think like I didn't know at that age. And I imagine that's confusing to be like, wait, here's what I want. What do you want? And people are like, well, I don't know. And like, there's like a dead end there. But also, I'm curious, like, was there also the flip side of, hey, here's what I want, and people maybe being taken a little bit back that you were so forward, you knew what you wanted, maybe a little bit more direct than they'd
Yeah.
ever come across, especially if this was like their first time or
Yeah.
very new to them.
I imagine you kind of falling into an educational role in some ways.
Oh, yeah. So here's the story of my life.
Let's hear it.
I have always known what I want and I've never hesitated to go after it. Like from, I don't even know, age of 3, 4, I remember very distinctly making conscious choice that I was going to do what I wanted to do. And it was really easy for me to know what I wanted. I've never really felt like, what do I want? That's never been really, I'm like, this is what I want. And I'm going to go do that. And there's a cool thing about that. That's like, okay, like I've had a full life of experience. Like, again, I feel so satisfied in this moment. I've had so many experiences that I'm like, you know what? What I want to experience now is like cooking soup and going to bed at 10 p.m. And like, I want to experience like some normalcy, you know? That's like novelty to me now. So this is always an issue. Yeah, it's always been an issue. People are like, wow, you're so clear on what you want. I haven't even thought about it. And I'm like, okay, well, get back to me. And so sometimes there does feel to be a little bit of this like lag time, or like I feel ahead in many ways. And it, I was at like this really beautiful sensual event in February that my friend hosted. And one of my clients was there, and he came up to me and he was like, how does it feel to be like 10 years ahead of everyone else in this room? You know, exactly what you said. And at times it feels amazing. Like at times I feel like I'm flying and I'm in this like other dimension that like I'm like, you know, inviting people to. And it's like really ostentatious, maybe is the word. And then at other times it can feel very lonely, you know, which is why I think I'm slowing down and really coming to a pause and giving myself some grace and giving myself a grace period to be met in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learning that you can possibly be met in different ways than you have in the past. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. I think too, it stands out to me hearing you say that, like, I've always kind of known what I wanted and then I would go for it. And I mean, obviously you can see that in like the way you related, the adventures you've had there, but also the other list of things you threw out there. I mean, living around the world, traveling, being nomadic,
Starting your own business.
starting multiple businesses, right? Like each one of those, I guess in my own experience, it takes a level of, you kind of got to go for it. Like if you kind of put one foot in and one foot out, it's not that you can't, but it's a lot harder. And you know, Emma and I have a bit of experience. Like we just walked away from our careers 8 years ago and started this podcast and did backpacking in South America for about a year. And some of those things, I mean, very fortunate to be able to do that. But there is some element of like, you just kind of got to go for it. And we met so many people along the way in our travels that, you know, of all across the board in terms of, you know, background, means, financial ability, like people were doing this on pennies, you know, and so it was always so inspiring to me to see people who were like, I wanted to be here and I'm here. And it doesn't matter how much money I make or how much this or how much that, like I find a way. And I find that really inspiring. And it was really great to hear you sort of say it from like, you know, age 3 or 4, like I knew what I want and I went and got it. And I think that's really empowering.
Yeah, it's a combination of an Aries stellium, you know, just very courageous, like head first, don't think about it, go. And I would say I'm super crafty and I believe in magic.
Yeah.
And I have deep, deep faith. So let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. And it sounds like an adaptable too. Like you're in for the adventure of whatever's going to happen.
Yeah, I enjoy being shaped by life. I'm incredibly submissive, and so I really enjoy being molded and shaped by experience, emotion, loss, gain, prosperity, all of it. Really, I enjoy that process. It's painful at times. I'm not going to make it sound like a joyride by any means, but it brings such a depth of, I think, like knowing myself, you know, like I know myself and I love being myself. And that's such a gift.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah. As you have likely encountered, there's a lot of people out there that don't have that confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it only comes through by living. Like, it doesn't like you don't read it in a book. Like I love the quote, like you don't learn how to swim by reading about water.
Yeah.
You know, like you really you gotta live it. And that's what it takes. And
Yeah.
it's
Well, and I think a lot of that, I mean, personal experiences, you'll sometimes go, oh, I really want this. And you go for it and you start down that path. And you're like, I don't think I want this, and it's sometimes we don't know until we try. And I think that also opens us up to the possibility of, I tried something that I didn't think I'd want, and holy shit, my mind just blew wide open and my life changed because of it. And so
Mhm.
I think both sides of that coin have a bit of magic in them as well.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. The maybe is really fun.
Yeah.
You know? It's like maybe. It's like it's very flirty, you know? It's like, oh, okay. Well, maybe. And like I love when my maybes have turned into like these generous yeses. That's been such a treat and an unexpected delight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there one that sticks out in your life that was like maybe an inflection point where you leaned into the maybe and it turned into a hell yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was this point where I wasn't sure if I wanted to host play parties, for example. Like, I was like, maybe, like I really enjoyed going to play parties and participating in play parties. And I was like, maybe. And I actually, on my altar, I made a wish. I had a dream. I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm meant to do this, I'm going to put it on my altar and I'm just going to say, I want to host play parties around the world. And I put that on my altar. A week later, I got a random phone call from my friend. I was in New York City on the bus, and my friend calls me up. He's like, hey, Kayla, like, I got a friend coming in from Ecuador who wants to host a play party. He's got everything set up. He's got the spot, location, he's got a private chef booked, but he needs someone who, like, can really hold this space. And I immediately thought of you. And I hadn't even talked to this friend about my desire or what I wanted to do, anything like that. And I was like, this is such a sign from the universe. I was like, okay, yes, I actually recently requested this on my altar.
I've been waiting for you to call.
Yeah.
Mm.
And like 5, 10 minutes later, I got on a call with the guy who was coming to New York to host this play party and wanted support. And it was go time. It was like that. And I worked with him. He had this man, he has like an institute that's like all about social justice and activism. And that's something that really, like, I saw pleasure as this, way of liberation, way to really like liberate people and bring them into their full birthright. And he was on the same page with that. And so we called them pleasure activist play parties. And 2 years later and eight parties under our wings, like it was really something that I didn't know would happen, but I dreamed it. And it boom, it landed. It just landed. And then the last one was it was called Sweet Surrender. And it was so interesting because it was the hardest one that ended up not happening, because I had like 3 women signed up and like 17 men. And I was like, I don't think this is supposed to be a gangbang. So I am going to sweetly surrender and know that this is the close of this chapter in this season. And that was the last play party that I advertised and promoted under that chapter and season. I really got used to just listening to what was actually being asked of me. Again, as a submissive, I think when I really honor that nature of my submission and my surrender and my like deep listening to what's being asked of me, like what am I here to really provide, it's revealed quite quickly and quite clearly.
Yeah.
And if I'm willing to let it go and not have my own agenda about it, I'm given something else, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you were describing that, I was like, I was in awe that you're able to just let go of something like that, because I know how hard I grip onto things. I'm like, well, I built this, it's got to be this, it's got to be like that, and I hold on with a death grip. And to be able to like come to that and be like, well, we're going to we're going to surrender, we're going to cancel it, and we'll just find something new. And instead of trying to like power on, force our way through, like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And
Yeah.
I was going to ask you how it ended, and you answered that anyway. So
It was
Yeah.
beautiful. It was a beautiful, sweet surrendering of a sweet chapter.
Yeah. And I think like demonstrates that things you don't have to hang on to everything. Like sometimes the juice is like letting go at times.
Oh, a lot of the time.
Yeah, a lot of the time. Yeah.
I'm learning, Emma. I'm learning.
Me too.
Yeah, right. I'm also kind of curious, Kayla, what happened around, it sounds like age 30, 31 was also a bit of a big inflection point for you, where you said that was sort of the time where you found yourself in your first open relationship of sorts. And it sounds like that was another start of this chapter. And I'm just
Yeah.
curious what happened around that time that sort of ushered in that change for you.
And I'm going to add on to that and kind of like, had you known about open relationships before that and just, or was it all new?
Yeah, so I didn't know much about open relationship. It was, I always say it was a lot easier coming out as bisexual than it was coming out as poly. Because I just think culturally, like, really, there's just a lot of misconceptions, misunderstandings, and a lot of kind of also tarnishing and fuckery going on inside of, people calling themselves polyamorous, but they really aren't because they're not amorous, And this to me was a really new thing. And I was really kind of brought into it in two ways. So that first kinky relationship, the BDSM relationship, really kind of opened my world to this like sex positive space where I was like, oh, people are playing, people are creating scenes, they're inviting people in. There's all these different like sub-dom dynamics happening. Like that was my introduction. And then I had a client introduce me to the couple that I mentioned before that I met 7 years ago. And they are based in New York. And I actually flew to meet up with them and have an experience with them, which was really generative and beautiful. And they had a lot of feedback for me. They had been together, I think, at that point for 8 years, and they were open the entire time. And they were like, wow, we've never met a unicorn that felt so experienced. And like, we didn't have to like handhold you through anything. And you were like totally great. And who are you? And that was really helpful because it helped me also, again, recognize kind of like my capacity level. And then they kept inviting me and we kept hanging out. And I started going to more play parties in New York. And then I started meeting their other lovers and kind of really like was thrown into this really, I would say, high level environment of open relating very quickly. And I think because of, these kind of rudimentary aspects of my character of like, I know what I want, I'm courageous, I go for it, I'm willing to take accountability, I'm willing to just show up and do the thing and learn. Really, all of those characteristics were very supportive to me kind of exponentially growing inside of the space of open relating quite quickly. Yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I'm curious too, you've talked about being the unicorn and that you love that sort of space. And this is one of those those places that I think in non-monogamy gets a lot of, it can get a bit of a bad rap, being the, the unicorn hunters, right? And I'm not going to disagree that there is a lot of toxic stuff that happens out there, but I'm curious for you, how did you navigate this for yourself in a way that felt great to you?
Yeah, I think again, it's this kind of this like quality I have where I can't bullshit. Like I had such a hard time getting a job, because I was so bad at interviews because I don't lie. And so I would show up in these, kind of relationship dynamics and quite quickly pick up on what was going on,
Mhm.
whether it was like held well, and respectfully or not.
Mhm.
And, I was very forthright about it. Like, I would sit the couple down. Like, when I would meet couples that I had, kind of off experiences with, I didn't just like ghost or disappear. Like, I would literally have a meeting
Wow.
and I would sit them down. I would say, so, I'm exiting this dynamic and this is why. And I would share my experience and I would let them know in just a very honest way, very kind though. It's not an attack, it's just like an observation, right? And I'm a trained biologist, so I have this ability to kind of observe without being like emotionally attached to things, which is the science background. And so I would sit them down and have these conversations. Many of these couples, one in particular, was incredibly healing because I had this conversation with them after about 3 months of interaction and me being like, you know what? There's something here that's not mine. It's between you guys, and that's the other thing. I never took it personal. I never was like, this is about me. I was like, this is totally about them. Like, this is their own stuff. They gotta work through it.
Mhm.
So, after having that conversation, the woman actually approached me. I saw her in a yoga class a few weeks after. And she came up to me and she thanked me. She said, "Thank you so much for coming to us and really expressing your truth. Because you know what it did for me is it allowed me to express mine. And I'm actually going to be separating."
Mm.
And I started having that conversation. And I've been wanting to have it for years. And it was kind of this incredible, liberating moment where I realized that, the unicorn is really special and it's a critical role. And so much of what I bring as a, well-rounded uni is, this texture of possibility for the couple. And I really always understood that my role was significant and powerful. And I held that with a lot of esteem. And I think because of that, I've never really been taken advantage of because you can't, you can't when you're owning your sovereign power in any sort of context. So yeah, it relatively, and I think in all was a great. I love unicorning. I'm really great at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it sticks out to me. Again, I'm going to stereotype a few things here, but I think often the dynamic that gets painted a lot of the time, the way this plays out is the husband will come to the wife, or the man in the relationship, in a hetero relationship, will come to his female partner and say, "Hey, how about a threesome? And how about it be another woman?" And then, right, but to have that other partner come in and completely, I want to say, blow up or shift their dynamic, right? Like, the power that you hold in that when you step into it is great. And that you could talk to them, and that actually shifted how she was seeing their relationship, how their relationship was viewed from the inside. Like, there's a part of me that chuckled, being like, I bet that's not what he had in mind when he was like, let's have a threesome with another woman. I just,
If that was how it
I
sounded.
understand. Again, I made a lot of assumptions here, but I just, like, from the stereotype of how I think how these things get painted in the negative, it was just a little comical to me to think about that. Like, that was probably not on their bingo card when they started down this path. And I think it's really powerful that you were able to step into your own, say your truth, and do it kindly, and that it also empowered her and probably set them both on a better path, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm still close with both of them.
Wow, yeah.
It took some years. They needed to go through their separation and kind of go through that process. And yeah, I'm close with both of them and they're really beautiful people and they're much happier where they are today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And again, my whole chuckle wasn't about this couple exactly. It was just sort of the way that this gets, I think, painted in the mainstream media of how these things happen it was just a little bit humorous to me. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to bring humor to it and because it makes it digestible because I think underneath the how would you say kind of the toxicity is really just it's fear.
Mhm.
And if we can get to that like underbelly and just like be honest about it, there's a lot of potentiality for wonderful trajectories.
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think like genuinely very few people come into these dynamics wanting to take advantage of people, wanting to hurt people, wanting them to go this way. So I think it's incredible that you're able to step into those in this way, and that everybody comes out of it on a better path, having a better understanding, realigning how they're doing all of this. And I think that's a really powerful role. It takes a lot of strength to be able to step in to that. And I think that's often the thing that we hear people talk about as well. It's a couple sort of versus a single person, and she's disenfranchised and all of these different things into
Which it can be that way, but it doesn't always have to.
totally can be.
Mm.
And I just think it's incredible to hear the way that you navigated it, and that is a possibility. And I hope people can hear that and be like, oh shit, even as the single person, regardless of gender in these dynamics, you hold just as much power, if not more at times.
Oh, yeah. The unicorn can be very revealing. It's a revelation. Yeah, it's an interesting texture, and one that holds so much desire. And I think what was supportive, like what I brought to a lot of couples, was this permission. And this permission to be in their desire and in their fantasy, and to say yes to it and to fully embrace it, and then to see what happens next, because there's always a next. In entering these couples, the couple that I've been with for 7 years, we are taking a major turn right now. And I've been in a lot of reflection of that time and like what I brought to the table. And I really can see how much I brought. Like, I brought a lot of permission for expansion and exploration and engagement with deeper desires, and really on shaming the entire thing. And I really wanted to speak to the predatory aspects that can come through. I really are just, I believe, are rooted in shame. And I think because I really am shameless, like I am completely shameless when it comes to sexual expression, at least. I can't say I'm shameless in every category of life, but
Sure.
with sexual expression, I'm incredibly shameless. And it just gives permission to the field that, like, we can do this, and like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so it really kind of releases that predatory energy. Like, the predatory energy can't super exist in my space. And I've noticed this actually, even just as a woman in the world that, gets catcalled and, all these things. I haven't had much experience with predatory energy, because I think predators really prey on people who are disempowered or not in their full agency. And not to say that the victim is, anywhere responsible for predators' behavior, but I think that there's this like real thing of being like, yeah, no, like, nope,
Mhm.
not here, not today. And if I have any say in it, and in so many ways, I could smell that out quite quickly
Mhm.
when either being approached or approaching, if that was kind of going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, I mean, I know I kind of said this a minute ago, but I think truly very few people come into these spaces with a predatory mindset. I think, kind of like you said, I think a lot of times coming in with a hope, a desire, and a whole mountain of shame that often steers the ship, rather than open, honest communication and vulnerability. And this is actually really scary for me to be in this dynamic with my partner and another person. Like, none of those things are things we're taught to talk about. And
Yeah.
so the fact that you can show up, I think, and be so shameless about it and open about it. I mean, I know when I've come across people like that in my life, it is a bit jarring at times, because I'm like, oh shit, like I'm over here trying to move through this with like a a sludge of shame around me, and this other person's just like speaking freely and saying all these things, and I'm just like, what is happening? These aren't the things we say or do. And so yeah, I again, I know I poke fun, but I also understand, I think, a lot of what's underneath it, because I carry a lot of it myself and grew up with a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a healing process, to me. This is really the root of why I relate in open relating,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I am on a healing path, and I believe that our relationships are where we heal.
Mhm.
And so every moment is an opportunity for that. Yeah, I always take the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I'm curious, over the last several years, if you've been navigating open relationships and the unicorn dynamic and just relationships in general, having lovers, having 16 lovers, like what are some of the things that stands out on this healing journey for you that you've learned about yourself?
Yeah, I think receptivity is like probably number one. So really learning that I don't have to earn any of my pleasure or my desires, or like work really hard to like get the thing. I actually can just open and receive, and that's been so healing and so nourishing, because it's like a deep exhale in my nervous system, in my body, in my heart, in my reality. I guess I actually, like, the only work I need to do is actually let go and lean back and move and just like kind of be open and know that like I am protected because it's coming from a place of love, right?
Mhm.
So if I can really honor that. And my 40th birthday actually was kind of like the pinnacle. I see it as like a closing of maybe even a book, not just a chapter. But I invited 16 lovers from around the world to come to this villa in Mexico, in Tepoztlan, and celebrate this entering of a new decade, and all make love for 3 days. And most of them didn't know each other, so I was really pushing. I was pushing the edges.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And they all agreed because they all love me. And it was an experience that really felt, again, like it was almost like perfectly aligned now with this like new book that I'm entering, because that was really the last, I think, communing that I hosted for my birthday. My birthdays also became pretty well known um, over the years.
I can understand why.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah. And yeah, this kind of healing that also comes from joy and celebration.
Yeah.
I was really able to celebrate myself, I think, in a very unique way, my 40th birthday, and calling that real big expression of my joy. And the morning of my birthday, all 16 of my lovers surprised me. They stood outside. I heard whispers. I was like, okay, you guys aren't being very quiet. You're not being very quiet about this. But they were all outside the door just whispering. I'm like, okay, they're about to come in. And they came in, they walked in, and they were all naked. And they were holding my birthday cake. And they started singing happy birthday, and they came over to the bed. They started, putting the cake on my body and eating the cake off of me. And then it turned into, a birthday morning orgy. I ran downstairs. We had like private chefs and stuff. And I ran downstairs. I was like, can someone make pancakes and bacon and like bring it upstairs, so that there's like food and orange juice and things. And we had this really beautiful few hours, like everyone just really in like the morning sun, overlooking the mountains. And there's always these kind of like waves, but it was kind of coming to a close, and someone had drawn a bath for me, and I got in the bath with like three other people, and they served me pancakes and bacon and orange juice like in the bath. And I was like, you know what? I think I've done the thing, I think I've really accomplished what I came here to accomplish.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty epic.
Yeah, it was really like tied with a ribbon and a bow and a cherry on top, like it was really just this like, yes, I have completed this really beautiful journey of pleasure. And then that's when, I really started to move in a different way throughout my first year. I'm 41 now. I just turned 41. So it's been a year, and In Love We Trust really started to come through. And I was like, okay, it's time to move towards a deeper expression and something else, because this has been really generous and abundant, and it's awesome, and it's really good to leave the party when it's good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I have a feeling that like you're leaving the party, but I feel like in some ways you're transforming it just into something else at this moment.
Totally, because all these people are still here. Like these
Yeah.
16 lovers, they're still a part of my life. I actually just got a text from one. He's coming into the city tomorrow, and he's like, "What's up? Let's hang," And there's this deep bond that's really great. And again, it's chosen family, it's chosen kin, and I'm very proud of myself for what I've built thus far. I've built a really beautiful home inside of my relational network.
Mhm.
And now it's like how to build home in a more material sense and a more earthly sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, I love that too. But like you said, like these people, just because you have maybe shifted in how you relate to them, it's not like they're gone. They didn't just evaporate, right? These were relationships built on love, not just the fact that you could have, physical chemistry, but there was a depth to it.
Totally. And a mutual respect, which, I think lends itself for longevity.
Yeah.
And so, these people care for me. We might not be fucking anymore, but they care for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It just struck me as funny too, thinking about like the anxiety I have bringing like two groups of friends that don't know each other together, and you're like, no, I'm bringing 16 different people from around the world that don't know each other. Like, holy shit! So that is actually really
Yeah.
funny to me.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. Like, you just
Totally.
hope that everyone can
Totally.
just like show up and be there to celebrate you.
Yeah.
And that sounds like what's happened.
Yeah, cross your fingers. You're like, all right. I'm going out on a ledge here, folks. Let's see what happens. And
Right?
it was life changing for most everyone who attended. It was really transformative. So
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I would love to. I'm just curious. I'm hoping people are also curious listening. That like, how does one hold 16 different sort of loverships, partnerships around the world? And I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about that, because I would love to understand like what they kind of looked like, generally, and how you maintain that and build your business, travel, take care of yourself, and live the life that you live.
Yeah. Everyone's always asking that. They're like, how did you do that? So I will say, oh, God, majority of those people have primary partners.
Mm-hmm.
So the 16 is actually kind of like 8, right? Or it's like 6 and then like 4 or
Okay.
whatever. Because it's like 6 couples and then 4 solo people, right?
Got it.
Something
Yep.
like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but majority couples.
Sure. Yep.
So they have each other,
Yep.
and they're in the day-to-day with each other,
Yep.
these couples. And that's another reason I loved unicorning, because it gave me a lot of spaciousness to roam and explore other relational dynamics and situations and kind of do my own thing and then come and go as I please. And so that's kind of how that worked. That's primarily made up of couples, and they kind of did the nitty-gritty of like, the household
Mm-hmm.
things.
Yeah.
And I like to drop love notes. I'm very spacious with how I communicate, but I'm also very clear with my communication. So people know what to expect, essentially. So I'd be very clear, very honest about how much I could show up, when I could show up, all of that. So that was known from the beginning and agreed to and consented to and kind of continuously agreed to throughout, and understood that like, okay, this is my availability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being
Everyone's
really-
opting in.
Yes, everyone's opting in to like seeing Kayla once a quarter. you know? So it was very spacious and kind of like checking in every few months, maybe a couple times a month, depending on my desire for a specific person or couple that I maybe wanted to like see more. And yeah, just very, very good at really like being realistic about the capacity and the time allotment. And then showing up for that, It's like I would book things 4 months out and I would not miss that appointment. You know what I mean? Like I would not miss that date.
Yep.
And really consistently over years doing that really provides a lot of trust inside of the relationship. So people know, okay, yeah, I might not see Kayla for a month or two, and I might not know even where she is in the world, but I know that on September 26th, she's going to be in New York, and I'm going to see her because she's done that consistently over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And building that trust with people.
Yeah. I'm just really grateful for you sharing a bit about this, because I think this is one of the ways that I have found actually works really well for me to relate. And I don't have 16 people in my world at the time, but I think this idea that we can be really clear with people, hey, you will see me this frequently, and you can count on it, right? Like I will set a date with you for December 2nd, and I will be there, and you can count on that, right? And you're not going to get bumped. You're not unimportant. That's just how much I've got. And what I tell you, I'll give you, I will give you. And then I think, like you said, you check in along the way, right? After 3 months, 4 months, a year, like, hey, is this still working for you? Yeah, it is. Or, no, it's not really working. Here's how we could shift it. I can do that. No, I can't. And I think these types of relationships are really beautiful because it allows you to connect with a lot of different people, or as many or as few, right, as you want, as fit. And everybody gets to say this works or this doesn't. And I just hearing you talk about it was really amazing. So I just am really grateful, like to dig into the details of like, how does one balance 16 different people? And when you explain it like that, it honestly, to me, it's like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
But it's also, it just takes a lot of people showing up with a lot of intentionality and follow through.
And in some ways, it's similar to balancing friendships, and like
Totally.
It's just like there's a little bit different layer, but at the same time, it's balancing people that are important to you in your life.
Yep.
1,000%. And to me, polyamory extends, way beyond romantic endeavors, because love to me extends beyond romantic endeavors. And if we're talking about the root of the word, we're really talking about love and the practice of love and what that is in terms of, kind of standing in this like love ethic, as Bell Hooks loves to talk about, and like what is that in actual lived experience. And I think also, to me, my intention has always also been a revillaging of people and kin and chosen family. And I think it's something like we can have up to like 52. There's some number. I think it's like 52 or something, where it's like we can actually have 52 people in our lives that we are really connected to, really like in trustworthy, great relation to, as our capacity as humans. So yeah, 16 isn't even close to 52. So
that's right.
Yeah. Right.
That's right. Yeah, and I love what you said, Emma, too, about like no different than friendships a lot of the time. And I think that is something too that has become really clear, is like whether you're hooking up or not, I feel like it shouldn't matter, right? I'm going to show up for my friends the same way. Like I will make that 6 months out. I'll be like, I will be here on this date because I love you. You're my friend, whether or not we're going to have sex or not, right? Because to be frank, that could be your partner who you've hooked up with every other time that you've gotten together, and you get together on this one time and you can't. For whatever reason, you can't. What should it matter? It shouldn't, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And so I think
Yeah.
it's really irrelevant of how, like, what we do with these people when we see them. It's just about our commitment to show up for the relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's deeper than that, whether it's sexual, whether it's platonic. To me, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. Because, I really think that sex is the icing, and the relationship is the cake. And if you don't have a cake and you just have icing, it's, I don't know how long it's going to last.
I mean, you can eat a tub of icing, but you can do it. I'm not saying you can't, but there's a limit to how many tubs of icing you can throw down. Right?
Exactly.
For me.
And I've had my tubs of icing moments, and those have been really great as well, but they're really short and super sweet.
Yep.
And so for me it's about the cake, and the icing has all different sorts of flavors, and you can decorate it in different ways, and it's kind of the thing that adds that extra flair to the situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. I'd really love to talk about your work a little bit, and how did you start doing the work you're doing, and what does it look like today?
So everything in my life, if you haven't picked up on it, is just like so unplanned. It's just like there's no plan. We're going with it, folks. Let's see what happens. So I started in, I think I was like 28 or so. I started having spontaneous orgasms, which was a really interesting experience for me. I'd be walking down the street or at the grocery store, driving my car, and just voila, like here I am in a full-blown orgasmic, blissful experience out of fucking nowhere.
That sounds both amazing and a little bit hard to navigate.
Yeah. I had to like pull over the car and like take deep breaths. And so I was doing a lot of yoga at the time, and I approached my yoga teacher about this, and she was like, it sounds like you're having a Kundalini awakening. And I was like, oh, cool, what's Kundalini awakening? And I started working with that and just really breathing and moving with it. And then I started following it. So like I said before, I consciously, around this age, began to say, like, what would happen if I followed my pleasure? Like, I had never really done that before. And because I was like harnessing all of this like Kundalini energy that was just like, like rising in my body, I was like, let's do it. Like, I have a focus now. And so I just started doing that, like, of my own accord. I was in DC bartending at the time and kind of sorting out some things. And as I did that, more things started to flow in my life. Like, there was way less resistance. There was way less kind of like hardship and struggle. Like, I found things started to come to me very easily as I like followed my pleasure and just pursued things that I wanted to do. Like, because they brought me deep satisfaction, and they didn't really have a plan or an agenda. And so that was really fun. And that led me to Costa Rica. I moved to Costa Rica in 2017. And I told my best friend, she's like, why are you moving to Costa Rica? And I was like, oh, well, my pussy told me to move there. And she was like, what? She was like, come again? Like, and so I told her the story, and she's like, oh my God, people need to know about this. They need to hear this from you. I'm like, do they need to know about this? Like, I don't know. And so the next day she posts on Facebook, she's like, going live with Freedom Doula Kayla Hill to talk pussy consciousness. Tune in to get turned on.
So she started your business, it sounds like.
My best friend started my business.
That's amazing.
She started my business and she was like, you're moving to Costa Rica. You're going to have to work online. You're going to have to do the remote thing. I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got on this live. She's all dolled up, tits out, lipstick on. And I'm like in my pajamas, like, okay, whatever. I don't know. I do a little like womb meditation. I tell my stories and we get like over 3,000 views and like people going bonkers in the comments. And so I was like, okay, I guess this is interesting to people. Then she literally writes in the comments, she's like, get in touch with Kalah. She's going to teach a 6-week online course called Pussy Consciousness. DM her to sign up for the class.
You're like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. So there we have it. And Pussy Consciousness was born and I moved to Costa Rica and I taught the first round. And then I ended up teaching, I think 5 or 6 more rounds in the first 2 years that I was there. Yeah, and like really just followed kind of this organic path of my own pleasure pursuits and created offerings from that space of my own experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to continue on to hear about that, but I have one logistical question. When you land in Costa Rica and you're going through customs, did you tell the agents when they say, so what are you doing in Costa Rica? Did you give them the same line?
My line for customs, and I'm like, should I say this, on a recorded podcast? My line for customs is that I'm a life coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a life coach and I help people live better lives. But the funny thing about customs and TSA is I continuously, every time, get stopped for my sex toys.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I have the Enjoy.
Yeah.
Oh,
which is that
yep.
stainless steel heavy motherfucker that looks like a fucking weapon. And they take it out. Every time they take it out, they hold it. They're like, what is this? And I tell them and they're like, oh, and they like put it down immediately. Yeah. Well, and then some people, it's like either they're like curious and it turns into like a teaching moment, especially the women security.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you use this for what? And I'm like, internal pleasure work. Have you ever heard of that before? I'm like, oh, no. And then other times people want to know nothing about it and they want me to move on as quickly as possible.
Yep, totally. We saw that dance happen once at the airport in Cancun. We were going on vacation there and we saw somebody agent pull it out, like holding it up, looking around, and it's like, you know what this is. And they're just like waving it around like it's a baton. Yeah, it was pretty funny. So yeah, the Enjoy 11's a beast.
It is.
It is. It's so fucking great. And I learned how to squirt with that toy, which was really a fantastic evolution. So I take it everywhere I go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then have to explain to every TSA agent what it is.
Yeah. Just spreading the light wherever I go. The good news.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so what does working with you look like today? If people
it sounds like it's evolved some.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very intimate. This transition into the archetype of courtesan is a real remembering of a beautiful form of service that was the courtesan's work in Europe, primarily Italy and France, during the Renaissance era. And they were really these very sovereign, beautifully educated and intelligent women of their time that offered really like in honoring of the loving arts and how to be in courtship in a way that really induced these longer term intimate relationships with their clientele. So that is really what I offer. I offer these really full, nourishing packages of one-on-one support and care that elicit openings of the heart, openings of the mind, openings of our souls, and really coming into this landscape of relational robustness and resiliency. So I teach my clients a lot about how to care for themselves and others in their lives, what relationships are fuck yeses, what relationships are no's, and maybe need to be having conversations around that, how to approach with kindness and care and clarity. And it's really life altering for the people I work with. They are in awe of the gift that the courtesan brings. They didn't even really know about her. A lot of people don't know about the courtesans, and their history. So I recommend really researching that because it's a part of the feminist history and the lineage, the matriarchal lineage that I think is really not taught and not talked about and not seen. And so really bringing these feminine arts and wisdoms to the surface again and honoring that through my care and love and clarity with my clients. So I also lead them by loving them and loving them well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think the power of, like you said, healing in relationship,
Mhm.
right? And I think this type of coaching, we had Andre on. Actually, Andre was the one who referred you to us. So,
Yes.
Yes.
Andre talked a bit about this in his episode, and the training that I did that was sort of overlapped with Andre's through Somatica is this very relational way of learning. It's
Mhm.
not just like, here's how to do it. It's like, let's do it together. You're going to actually feel what it's like to have me tell you no to your face when you want something or
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so this type of healing and relationship and growing is it's so powerful. And it's just really exciting to hear how you're doing it and how you approach it. And so just really grateful to have had you on today, Kayla.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think the overarching quote is you don't learn how to swim by reading about water.
Yep.
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 Totally. Well,
Yeah.
I'm really grateful we got to chat today.
Yeah. Quick reminder to anyone listening that links to all of Kayla's work will be in the podcast show notes. You can go check all of that out. And we'd also love to just know if you have anything else that you'd like to share and get out there before we let you go today.
There's something about love that I just want to share with everybody, and that is that you are love, and love is a remembering, and there's nothing that you have to do or become to remember that and to be that right in this moment. So I just offer love.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, for everything you shared, and just for spending time with us today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, well, thank you, Kayla. And a quick note, too, that Kayla has agreed to stick around for some bonus questions. So based on everything we've talked about, I have a feeling there's some adventures and some exciting stories to come. So listeners, you're going to want to join the premium subscription if you're not already a member, and we'll see you in there. So thank you again, Kayla, for being here, and have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you.
And we're back. Thank you so much, Kayla, for coming on and sharing your story. It was a blast to talk with you. So thank you so much.
And thank you from my side. I hope we get to do it again. We'll just do story time with Finn, Emma, and Kayla.
Yes.
I think that'd be a blast. And a quick reminder, listeners, if you want even more Kayla, which I don't know how you couldn't at this point, you can head over to our website and join the premium subscription. We've got a fantastic bonus episode with Kayla that you can go check out right now.
And also a reminder, links to all of Kayla's work are over in the podcast show notes on the podcast tab of our website.
And one quick reminder, we've got our next community workshop coming up on July 22nd. It is called Embracing Conflict with Becky Calloway and Melanie Rowan. You can learn more about this workshop and all of the workshops in our community over under the workshop tab of our website. And you can find out more about applying and joining our community under the community tab of our website. We'd love to see you in there, and we'd love to see you at the workshop next month.
And next week, actually, we have a change.
We always say next week, surprise, surprise, we're coming at you with another interview.
But this time it's different. For the first time in 8 years of publishing weekly episodes, we are taking a short break from releasing podcast episodes.
450 in a row.
Yeah.
Haven't missed a week.
I know.
We haven't even been late
I know.
by like a minute.
I know.
I'm sorry, my OCD is so intense
this
and
is
you
hard.
have to live with it.
This is hard. This is hard. But we will not be releasing podcast episodes for the month of July 2026. But don't worry, we are not going anywhere. Our next episode will be released Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. And we're going to continue weekly as usual after that.
We're truly not going anywhere.
Nope.
We're just taking a little summer breather.
A little summer breather. That's a good way to put it. Thank you so much to everyone who has listened and supported the show. We love you all and are so grateful for you.
And we will be back in a month. And until then, you've got only like 450 episodes
to go catch up on.
That's probably like 600 hours of listening.
Yeah.
So after a quick Google search, we have learned that there's roughly 730 hours in a month, which says if you were starting with this episode and you haven't listened to any,
you can go back and listen.
You can go catch up on every single episode before we come back.
If
on
all
August
you do,
5th.
or almost all you do, is listen to podcast episodes.
What else is there to do in life? Anyway, we'll let you go now. We'll see you all in a month.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.